Kara from Health, Home, and Happiness here today, and today we're talking about what your least restrictive diet is. And I'm going to talk about how I use this in my own life and my daughter's life and even my other two typically developing children's life. And then I'm going to talk about how you can kind of quantify it and decide when a healing diet makes sense for you to try and when it is actually too restrictive and it's causing more harm than it's worth. So the first thing that I do to try to quantify this so I can kind of make an educated guess, I'm a pretty analytical person, so if you're more into like the feelings and getting the vibes and all of that, this video probably isn't for you. But if you're the kind of person that likes checklists, you like charts, you would like to put your whole life in an Excel spreadsheet, then we're going to talk about how even though healing diets aren't an exact science, you can kind of quantify them by tracking your symptoms and seeing what is worth it for you to continue and what is really more trouble than it's worth. So the first thing that I do, and I'm going to link to it below, is you're welcome to sign up for my email list right now, and I will send you the exact symptom tracker that I use and I've been using since I started my daughter on the GAPS diet when she was 3 years old. And so on that symptom checker, this is specifically for both adults and children. There's ways that you can fill in your own things. We track whatever we're trying to fix. And so for my daughter, I started an autism healing protocol because she wasn't sleeping. And you expect that from a newborn, but by the time your child is 2.5 and they're still up every 2 hours at night, we can probably all agree that is an incredibly restrictive way to be. Not only for her that she wasn't getting the rest she needed, but also for me and everyone else in our family because she was just screaming, not making eye contact, was not social, could not be around peers. And just autism was a very isolating and restrictive thing that we were dealing with as a family. And so on that symptom tracker, what I did for her and what parents with autism are probably going to do is track number of tantrums, track eye contact. Like if we got 10, 15 minutes of engaged behavior a day, I would definitely write that on that day's symptom tracker because that's something that we wanted, and I wanted to see those patterns where when you're still like sleep deprived, you're still exhausted raising a toddler with autism, seeing those patterns emerge lets you know either what you're doing is working or it's kind of maybe it's time to change things up because you've been seeing the same stuff for 7 days with no improvement. So people with autism often will track meltdowns, sleeping hours, tantrums, eye contact, social behavior. I was tracking words because she was nearly nonverbal. She had like 5 words. So that's all what I tracked as an autism parent. If you're doing a specific healing protocol for food allergies, that's obviously you're going to try, you might track different symptoms once you try it. So I would like introduce dairy, and I'm going to go in another video and tell you how I reversed my dairy allergy in 6 weeks. Like I went from breaking out in hives and getting a sinus infection every time I ate dairy to being completely able, I can go eat like slices of cheese now and I do great with it. So I'm going to tell you about that in another video. So that's another way you can track symptoms is you can pull all dairy and my symptom tracker will work even if you're just eliminating one food or you're doing something as specific as keto or the GAPS diet. So once you introduce a food, then go ahead and track those symptoms because it wasn't until I completely pulled dairy from my diet the recurring sinus infections completely went away, and then I introduced it, and suddenly they came right back. And so then I had to do a specific protocol to get rid of my dairy allergy, and I knew it was gone because when I did this introduction, I could see like, I'd introduced it this time, and this time, and this time, and all of these things came back. And then I knew my gut was healed because when I introduced it again, those things didn't come back again. So a symptom tracker is a really good way to see if what you're doing is working for you, if you're seeing improvement in whatever you're trying to track. A lot of people are tracking sleep. A lot of people are tracking like anxiety is really common. It's something that affects about 10% of our population in the United States. And so if you can't sleep because of anxiety, that's a good thing to put on your symptom tracker. If you you can kind of rate it on a 1 to 10. The 1 to 10 scale can really help. And while that's not completely scientific, obviously they use the 1 to 10 pain scale in hospitals. It's something that you can say like my anxiety was a 10 today, but you could also note like my kid started a new preschool. So that's going to be noted as well in your symptom tracker. But then on another day, you might say, I felt a twinge of anxiety maybe in the morning, but I went all day without feeling it. So just forcing yourself to check in at the end of the day or a few times during the day is a great way to see if your healing protocol is working for you.